Entrepreneurs who can write quickly without sacrificing quality are deadly. I used to take hours to write one social media post. These days, I write about 2,000 words an hour of pretty good stuff. And as a result, I've managed to attract over 250,000 readers and make over $1.5 million just by sharing ideas I believe in at a high rate of volume. And in this video, I show you an interview with a client whose main concern is that she's writing very slow. We talk about the blockers that actually stop you writing quickly, some of the quick tricks and fixes to kind of get through them, but also why writing slow may just be one of the best things that you could be doing in an age of AI. Hope you enjoy.
Well, yeah, let's talk about writing speed, Mr. Rafa.
Yes, yeah.
So you mentioned it takes you a while to write.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what I had submitted, it took me best part of Sunday evening. I mean, I did go through all the, the course content, but those things I have done kind of lots of those things before because I've got all your other courses anyway, so it was quite quick for me to go through them. But then the prompt was polarizing, and I think by nature I'm not polarizing, so I don't know whether that was the reason. But I wanted to stick to the prompt, and then it took me again like a couple of hours today to get to that level, which I've submitted. So I don't know if it is going to take this. This is the problem. I want to write, I want to do more, but it takes me like so long, and then I can't have time for anything else because the time's just gone. I don't know if there's any way to speed it up, or this is just the process. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit of both. So because obviously, unless I'm sitting on your shoulder watching you write, there may be friction in your process that you might be introducing unnecessarily. We'll talk about in a moment. But the first thing I'll say about writing speed is that actually a lot of writers are slow writers. So I'm a fast writer, but one of the problems with being a fast writer is that I will write 2,000 words in, let's say 30 minutes, and then I need to delete 1,900 of them because I've been waffling on. Morgan Housel, he has a story where he says that he doesn't even edit his work. He writes it sentence by sentence, but very, very slowly and intentionally. And it really depends on also the way you think, because that's all you're doing, right? Is the writing is the thinking. And so if you're quite a in-depth, like slow thinker, but not slow in a bad way, but like careful, then that's
very
how you're
slow.
writing.
I would say very slow.
Yeah, and that's how your writing's going to come out too, a little bit.
Okay.
And so I just say that as a framing because sometimes we blame ourselves for our nature, right? And it's like, actually, this is just the way that my mind operates, and we want to try and work with that, as opposed to being like, what is wrong with me? A lot of writers write slow. And so just bearing that in mind. With that, there's things that slow people down. One of the main ones is confidence in the message. So what I mean by this is, if I go to write anything about writing right now, I know I could write it in 5 minutes and it'll come out pretty well. I've said it so many times before. But if I, like, for example, I'm quite interested in writing about spirituality because I'm really learning about it a lot. When I write a post like that, I have to take 10 times longer. It's 10 times worse. And it's because I'm not that confident in what I'm saying. And so I feel like I really have to think about it. Or I'll say something and then I'll read it and be like, what are you talking about? Or it comes out performative as opposed to expressionate. And so I know for you, this is your role has been constantly, you've got to this clean coaching side now. And I know you said you've been quite slow for years, but I think once you get into this flow, then that bit's going to get faster as well. So with confidence will come more speed, particularly the more conversations you have with clients. So like I said, I come out on my Monday once a month calls, and I'm like, there's all the conversations I need to have with content. So that can help too. Is any of that resonating with you so far?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you. And that makes a lot of sense because even though I have been trying to write for a long time, but what I actually want to write has just recently come to me after I got trained in clean coaching. Because
Yeah.
previously I was giving more advice led, what everybody else says, like this is what you should do, meditate or sleep better. But now I'm more into, okay, no, I'm just going to hold my advice back, help them come to their own solutions. And that's a more difficult thing to write anyway. And
Yeah.
so no, that makes sense because this is a new way of coaching for me anyway. So
I just want to give you a few tips about writing faster then. So the number one, like I said, is that don't beat yourself up for being slow. I think that's the most important part. Number two, I know that when I'm working with clients, occasionally they say like, this is getting painfully slow. And often I've touched on it there, it's because we really care about the result. Like we really want to attract the right person and we're trying really hard to do that. But when it's getting into that point, if you find that that's the case, then coming back to writing as a note to self is a really nice way just to be like, okay, my one true fan is kind of similar to me. I'm just going to write this to myself, and that, it's just a conversation with you and you don't have to overthink it as much. Some people respond well to more structure. So, for example, if you write down 5 bullets and then fill out the blanks. So my hook will be this, my point will be this, my point will be that, and then you can literally just fill out the blanks with it. That can help a lot of people if you're more structured based, as opposed to it being like, where am I going with each point? You can pre-decide that, and then you just sort of fill in the blanks. If you are a better speaker, voice notes. So I use Whisperflow. My Whisperflow now is written over 700k words. And if some people are just much better at speaking, and then you can edit the first draft to make it read like writing, and that can be a great way to start doing it faster too. Does any of that help?
No, it does help. The only thing which I struggle to understand is note to self in my context is because I have had a very stressful patch a couple of times in my life, but I cannot still relate to the stress which I'm trying to solve. So that is the bit which I probably, when I try to think about, I'm like, what will I write to myself? I don't know.
Okay, sure. If it doesn't work, don't use it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You've got plenty of experience with clients, so that can work really well too. Having that one person in mind, like literally write, like let's say you have a client call, and then writing to that person on that call. It's just basically just trying to make it more personal, more like one-on-one is what we're trying to do here. And then the final point, Karen, is, and I feel like you might have said this at the start, really trying to avoid self-editing as you're writing. Because if I start going back and changing sentences before I'm finished, I sometimes will spend an hour to produce crap. But I know that if I just get it out, accept that it's bad, it is so much easier for me. Like, for example, let's say a first draft takes me 20 minutes, okay, for something kind of small. If I decide in that first draft that I need to go back halfway through, I might spend an hour on that same first draft and the quality will be like a 5 out of 10. But if I write that first draft in 20 minutes and then the next day spend 10 minutes editing, it'll probably be a 7 out of 10 because I split those roles apart as opposed to like mixing up this energy, which then just gets really costly on time. So I don't know if you're doing that much.
Yeah, very much I was doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give it a shot. Like, just set yourself a rule of like, I'm not going to self-edit.
Yeah.
Editing separate to the writing.
Yeah.